text-to-voice synthesis provided by Vidnami. Misinformation about the Act of 1871 is an ongoing problem, Part 3. January 15, 2021 by Anna von Reitz. Now that you know that the infamous Act of 1871 is dependent on the even more infamous Act of 1870, and that the upshot of it was to ensconce a municipal for-profit corporation as the government of the District of Columbia, be prepared for more unpleasant surprises. You might think that the municipal government provided for under Article 1 Section 8, Clause 17 was entrusted to Americans acting as state deputies operating our Continental Congress or to Americans acting as American state delegates, and you would be right. The Congress, referenced by Article 1 Section 8, Clause 17 had to be American, and the people represented by that Congress had to be true United States citizens as provided by 2 U.S.C. 253. How do we know that for sure? Because those provisions were written into the original federal Constitution, the Constitution for the United States of America, and there was no territorial or municipal Congress in existence in 1787 when the original Constitution was approved. Our founders meant their United States Congress to act as honorable stewards of a simple public trust, to provide a safe mutual meeting ground at the federal capital, Washington, D.C. They did not envision foreign subcontractors doing that duty or exercising that trust. Okay, the usurpation of that position by foreign subcontractors is fraud and non-disclosure and failure to assist victims of a crime in breach of trust, but it gets worse. Having illegally exercised powers entrusted to other parties, the municipal corporations acting as the government of the District of Columbia didn't honor the original concept, by which the members of any Congress, even a municipal Congress, would exercise the powers of government for the District of Columbia. Instead, they initially redefined the members of the ersatz unauthorized Territorial Congress to be a board of directors for the new municipal corporation acting as the government of the District of Columbia, and then proceeded to place everything under the thumb of a municipal governor for the municipal corporation acting as the government of the District of Columbia. Over time, even this bizarre rearrangement of powers and duties was truncated and messed with until by 1913, less than half a dozen men were required to, purportedly pass the Federal Reserve Act on Christmas Eve, and by 1940, the governors of the Municipal Corporation of the District of Columbia didn't even have to be elected members of any Congress at all. Isn't this just sweet? They took a simple duty to provide a safe and neutral meeting place in Washington, D.C., and turned it into a private, for-profit municipal corporation in control of the Territorial District of Columbia, and made themselves their own bosses, in control of a plenary oligarchy, without even having to be members of that oligarchy and without having to be elected at all. And all with no authority whatsoever to do any of this, all done under conditions of deceit and non-disclosure, all done under color of law, and all done under conditions of fraud against the American states and people. You might be wondering how this was possible. It was possible because the only people trained to be able to recognize these crimes were bar attorneys, and in the new pecking order established by this fraudulent power grab, the U.S. attorneys had control of the members of the American Bar Association. Thus, the papist municipal government and traitors in the Territorial Congress contrived to set themselves up in control of a private municipal corporation posing as the government of the territorial United States, and insulated itself against any claims as previously described, and began bossing the U.S. military around, the same U.S. military that was entrusted by Lincoln as the safeguard of the entire country. I am now going to treat you to the tortuous analysis by Team Law, which describes what one must go through to follow the snake-like twists and turns and blind alleys that lead to the same conclusions. 1871 Act of 1871, an act to provide a government for the District of Columbia, ch. 62, 16 Stat. 419, February 21, 1871. Which was repealed in 1874 and then passed piecemeal via these actions, an act providing a permanent form of government for the District of Columbia, ch. 180, sec. 1, 20 Stat. 102, June 11, 1878, to remain and continue as a municipal corporation, brought forward from the Act of 1871, as provided in the Act of March 2, 1877, amended and approved March 9, 1878, revised statutes of the United States relating to the District of Columbia. 1873, 74 in force as of December 1, 1873, sec. 2, p. 2 as amended by the Act of June 28, 1935, 49 Stat. 430, ch. 332, sec. 1 Title I Section 102, District of Columbia Code 1940. When looking at the intent of all this, given that the actual District of Columbia was set up in 1790 and fully chartered by 1801, the aim of the Act of 1871 is, it appears, merely to set up, U.S. Corp., that all that part of the territory of the United States included within the limits of the District of Columbia be, and the same as hereby, created into a government by the name of the District of Columbia, by which name it is hereby constituted a body corporate for municipal purposes, and exercise all other powers of a municipal corporation. Act of 1871 verbiage. So the Act of 1871 was to create a private corporation owned by the actual government of the District of Columbia, the infamous District of Columbia Municipal Corporation. Further, the only government created in that act was the same form of private government any private corporation has within the operation of its own corporate construct. U.S. Corp. Is not merely an incorporated municipality, District of Columbia, rather, it is a private corporation, District of Columbia Municipal Corporation, that was lawfully created by our original jurisdiction government. Team Law Analysis, end quote. This is their analysis, but I differ from the paragraph above. These actions were undertaken after our original jurisdiction government ceased to function, and in any case the original jurisdiction government being referenced has to be the original federal jurisdiction government, the Federal Republic, which was only a secondary instrumentality of the Confederation and a tertiary instrumentality of the Federation of States. As a result, there could be nothing lawful about what went on with these mechanizations at all. It was all done in the legal realm, not the lawful realm, and could not have been done lawfully, by definition, even if the Federal Republic had still been in operation in the 1870s and had taken part in this criminal fiasco. And, by the way, there is no provision or agreement in any constitution for the territorial government to be redefined as an incorporated municipality DBA District of Columbia, nor is there any provision for it to be further redefined as a privately owned and operated municipal corporation doing business as the Municipal Corporation of the District of Columbia. All that is just more breach of trust and commercial service contract, more fraud, and more self-serving bunk promoted by both guilty parties. The Queen's Commonwealth Government, also known as the territorial government, which the Queen operates as an overseer for the Pope, and the Pope's own municipal government, set up as a corporation in the territorial District of Columbia. By these actions, they have defined themselves as criminals, but it did not stop there, and it was not limited to our shores. This same system of fraud and usurpation was extended, as revealed in Part 2, to other countries and nations around the world. To them, it appeared to be championed by the Americans, and trusting the Americans far more than they would have ever trusted the Queen or the Pope. They all fell in line, adopted similar means of private control of public institutions, and the politicians elected by purported shareholders under this scheme enjoyed the coercive abuse of governmental powers under color of law, and instead of being true representatives of anyone but their own greed, they redefined themselves as agents carrying proxies from the corporation's electorate. The clueless Americans, like the clueless Catholics, and the clueless national governments that were members of both the League of Nations and the United Nations, were being used as storefronts by these criminal commercial corporations, entities that exist solely for the purpose of making profit for their private shareholders, the banks and people like Nancy Pelosi, who squandered and rolled in the profits of these criminal enterprises, while talking, loudly, about protecting the constitutions they evaded and tried their best to destroy. When push comes to shove, the guilty parties attempt to take refuge in the constitutions and pretend that their purported power and authority comes from the constitutions, but as you can now appreciate, the truth of the matter is that they have no authority as the government of this country and never have had any such authority since this farce began. Furthermore, as privately owned corporations, the only law they have is corporate public policy, which is not enforceable except within the confines of their own corporation, its officers, employees, and actual dependents. So, if you don't wish to partake in their criminal activities and the profits thereof, and you don't wish to be subjected to law imposed by unknown appointees to a private municipal corporation board of directors, it's high time to wake up. This form of private law has been imposed upon the states and people of this country under color of law for the purpose of pillaging and plundering and collusive extortion, racketeering, inland piracy, trafficking in persons, impersonation, barratry, identity theft, unlawful conversion, and all as a conspiracy by our foreign federal subcontractors against their employers and against the constitutions allowing their operations on our shores. The territorial government's contract requires them to defend us against all enemies both foreign and domestic, so their proverbial rice bowl is on the line, and it is not to the Pope's advantage to lose that contract. Also understand that while the municipal corporations have no right to exist nor to claim any contract or position of favor, they are vengefully trying to do as much damage as they can rather than yielding to the inevitable conclusion everything they claim, all the assets of the municipal corporations, in fact belong to us, the American states and people, whose delegated power was abused and whose sovereign power was usurped in order to create these municipal corporations, including the Municipality of the District of Columbia and the Municipal Corporation of the District of Columbia, and all the franchises and derivatives that have been spun off ever since. Please also be advised that our federal republic cannot be restored by any action or further usurpation by the territorial government, and the only 19th President of the United States of America position is the presidency of the same territorial municipal corporation DBA United States of America referenced in Bouvier's dictionary. The only entities on earth that can lawfully and legally restore our federal republic and enforce the constitutions are our states and people, acting through their federation of states, the United States of America. So what are you waiting for? Christmas? Go to www.theamericanstatesassembly.net. The territorial municipal corporation and its employees will defend you, because it is their job and they are Saul if they don't, but more to the point, it is your responsibility to wake up and self-govern, so that your country is not overrun by predatory foreign corporations pretending to be your government.